Woman in a Black Coat. I was born into a rich and important family in Tyrone, Ireland. I was the younger of two daughters, and we were the only children. My sister was 6 years older than me, so we didn't play much together when I was young, and I was only 12 years old when she got married. I remember the day of her wedding well. Many people came, all of them laughing, singing, and happy, but I felt sad when my sister left with her new husband, Mr. Carew. She was always very nice to me, nicer than my mother, and so I cried when she went away to her new home in Dublin. My mother and father didn't love me. They wanted sons, and were not very interested in me. About a year after my sister got married, a letter arrived from Mr. Carew. He said that my sister was ill, and that she wanted to come home to Tyrone and stay with us to be with her family. I was sad that she was ill, but also very happy about her visit. "They are leaving Dublin on Sunday," my father told me, "and they are arriving here on Tuesday evening." Tuesday came, and it was a very exciting day. My mother and I stood at the window, watching the road. But there was no car. "Perhaps it's going to be late," my mother said. An hour later, my father looked at his watch. "They are very late. I hope that nothing is wrong." After another hour, my father became angry. "This is too much. I'm going to phone Dublin." He phoned for a long time, but when he came back to us, his face was white. "My sister and her husband are dead," he told us. "Their car went off the road into a river, and they were both killed." My mother began to cry, and I felt very sad, but I thought of my sister's body in the river and couldn't speak. The next day I was alone in my room when suddenly I heard someone shout my name. I ran downstairs. "They've found my sister's body," my father said. "Her husband's body was in the car, but they didn't find her body until this morning. Her head was under the big stone in the river." That evening, when it was dark, I went out into the garden. I wanted to be alone and to think about my sister. Suddenly, I saw a woman near the front door. She was wearing a long black coat. It was a cold night, but I was not afraid. I walked nearer to her. "Hello," I said. "Are you looking for someone?" The woman didn't answer. She was looking at the house. I couldn't see her face very well in the dark, but then there was some light from the moon, and I saw that her face was white and wet. "What do you want?" I asked. The woman didn't move or answer, so I went nearer. Then, suddenly, she turned and walked quickly away. I watched her go, and then I went back into the house. Who was that woman? I thought. Perhaps she's a friend of my sister. But why didn't she speak to me? The next morning I told my mother and father about the woman, but they didn't know her. "Perhaps she came to the wrong house," my mother said. But I didn't think that. That was right. I often went for long walks in the countryside and thought about my sister. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after my sister's death, I was walking near the river when I saw a car. There was a man and a woman in the car, and I heard them talking. "Look at all that glass on the ground," the woman said. "There is still a lot of glass here. Is this the place?" "I'm not sure," the man answered, "but the police said that the car went into the river near a bridge. This is a bridge, so perhaps this is the place." I went nearer to the car, and the woman saw me. She gave me a small smile and said, "Hello." "I'm sorry, we're from Dublin and we're trying to find the place where a car went into the river a few weeks ago. My sister was in that car," I told her, "and her husband." The woman looked at me with great interest. "Oh," she said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know." The man came and stood next to her. "What's your name?" he asked me. "Anna," I answered. The man gave me a small smile. "My name is John Carew," he said, "and this is my wife, Mary Carew." "Your name is Carew?" I asked. "But my sister's husband's name was Carew." "My brother was your sister's husband," he said. "My brother's name was David." I told them my name again and invited them to come back to my house. We talked for a long time, and they told me more about my sister's husband, David. He had a lot of money and worked in a bank in Dublin. He was a rich man. After a few weeks, John and Mary went back to Dublin, but they came to stay with us for a few days every month. My mother and father liked John very much, but I felt strange when I was with him. He was always very nice to me, but I didn't like him. After a few years, he suddenly began to talk to me about marriage. "I'm not your man, Anna," he told me, "but I'm rich, and you'll have an easy life. Why don't you marry me?" I didn't love him, but I said yes. One day, I was alone in my room when I suddenly heard someone singing. The song was Danny Boy, a very famous Irish song. My sister loved that song, but I didn't know anybody in the Dublin who knew it. I went downstairs and walked around the house, but there was nobody there. I was alone. A few hours later, John came home, and I told him about the singing. He looked at me with angry eyes. "I don't know who was singing, but you must not go downstairs and walk around the house again," he said. "You must stay in your room." His words were cold, and his eyes were full of anger. I knew that he was telling me a lie, but I didn't say anything. A month later, I heard the singing again. I went out into the garden, and there was a woman there. She was wearing a long black coat and was walking slowly away from the house. I couldn't see her face. I went back into the house and told John about the woman, but he didn't say anything. He just looked at me with the same angry eyes and said, "Stay in your room, Anna." He was more angry this time, and I was very afraid. After a few days, I was alone in the house, and I was not afraid. My husband John was at work in the bank, and the servants were in their rooms. I wanted to find the woman in the black coat. I wanted to talk to her and to ask her what she wanted. I went out into the garden and looked around, but there was no one there. Perhaps she's inside the house, I thought. I went back inside and walked quietly from room to room, but there was nobody there. Suddenly I heard a noise from the back of the house. I opened the door to the garden and saw a girl in a long black coat. She was standing next to a big stone near the river. I went nearer to her, and I saw that she was crying. "What's wrong?" I asked. The girl turned to me and said, "I'm looking for my sister. She was killed here." Her voice was soft, and she was crying. "I'm sorry," I said. "I didn't know." The girl didn't answer. She just stood there, crying. I didn't know what to do, so I went back to the house. The next day, I was alone in the house again. I heard a noise from the garden. I went outside and saw the girl in the black coat again. She was standing near the river. I went nearer to her and said, "Hello, I'm Anna. I'm sorry about your sister." The girl looked at me with the sad eyes and said, "My sister was a very good woman. She always helped me, but now she's gone." I didn't know what to say, so I just stood there. The girl went back into the house. I was very afraid. "Who's that girl?" I thought. "Why is she always near the river?" The next morning, I woke up and heard a noise from the garden. I looked out the window and saw the girl in the black coat. She was walking near the river. I was very afraid, and I went back to my room. "I must go back to my parents' house," I thought. "I can't stay here." I went to the front door, and I saw a man there. It was John. "Where are you going?" he asked. "I'm leaving," I said. "I can't stay here any more." John looked at me with the angry eyes. "You can't leave this house," he said. "You are my wife, and you must stay here." He took my hand, and I was afraid. I didn't say anything, and I went back to my room. The next day I was alone in my room, and I was very afraid. I looked out the window, and I saw the girl in the black coat. She was standing near the river, and she was looking at me. I went back to my bed, and I was afraid. "I must leave this house," I thought. "I can't stay here any more." I went to the front door, but it was locked. I tried to open it, but I couldn't. I was trapped in the house. I ran to the window, and I saw the girl in the black coat. She was still standing near the river. "I must find a way to leave this house," I thought. "I can't stay here any more." I was very afraid. Weeks passed. It was about a month later that I met the other woman for the first time. One day I wanted to go for a walk in the gardens. It was a beautiful day, and I ran up to my room after lunch to get my hat and coat. But when I opened the door of my room, there was a woman sitting near the fire. She was about 40 years old and she wore a black coat. Her face was white, and when I looked closely, I saw that her eyes were white too. She was blind. "Madam," I said, "this is my room. There is a mistake." "Your room?" she answered. "A mistake? No, I don't think so. I don't think there is a mistake. Where is Lord Glenfallen?" "Down in the living room," I said. "But who are you? And why are you here in my room?" "Tell Lord Glenfallen that I want him," she said. "I must tell you that I am Lady Glenfallen, and I want you to leave my room now," I said. "Lady Glenfallen? You are not! You are not!" she cried, and hit my face very hard. I cried out for help, and soon Lord Glenfallen arrived. I ran out of the room as he ran in, and I waited outside to listen at the door. I didn't hear every word, but I knew that Lord Glenfallen was very angry and the blind woman was very unhappy. When he came out, I asked him, "Who is that woman, and why is she in my bedroom?" But my husband didn't answer me. Again his face was white with fear. His only words were, "Forget her." But I didn't forget her, and every day it was more and more difficult to talk to my husband. He was always quiet now, always sad and afraid. He sat for hours looking into the fire with his unhappy eyes. But I didn't know why, and he didn't want to tell me. One morning, after breakfast, Lord Glenfallen suddenly said, "I have the answer. We must go away to another country, to France or Spain, perhaps." What do you think? He didn't wait for my answer, but left the room very quickly. I sat and thought for a long time. Why must we leave Cahergillar? I didn't understand, and I didn't want to go too far away from my mother and father in Tyrone. They were old now, and my father was sometimes ill. They didn't love me very much, but I wanted to be near them. I thought about it all day, and I didn't know what to say to my husband when he arrived back in the evening and came into dinner. I said nothing. After dinner, I was very tired, and I went up to my bedroom early. I wanted to have a good night's sleep and think about it all again the next day. I closed my eyes and went to sleep, but I didn't sleep well because I dreamed of the black coat. Suddenly I woke up. Everything was dark and very quiet, but somebody was at the end of my bed. There was a hand with the light, and behind the light was the blind woman. She had a knife in her other hand. I tried to get out of bed and run to the door, but she stopped me. "If you want to leave, don't move," she said. "Tell me one thing. Did Lord Glenfallen marry you?" "Yes, he did," I answered. "He married me in front of 100 people." "Well, that's sad," she said, "because I don't think he told you that he had a wife, me." "I am his wife, not you, young woman. You must leave this house tomorrow, because if you stay here, you see this knife? I am going to kill you with it." Then she left the room without a sound. I didn't sleep again that night. When morning came, I told my husband everything. "Who is the blind woman?" I asked him. "She told me last night that she's your wife, that I'm not your wife." "Did you go into the rooms at the back of the house?" asked my husband angrily. "I told you that you must never go there." "But I didn't," I answered. "I was in my bed all night. She came to me. Please tell me what is happening." My husband's face was white again, and he didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, "No, she is not my wife. You are. Don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's saying." And he left the room. I ran to find Martha. I didn't like this house anymore. My husband was a difficult man, and I didn't understand him. Who was the blind woman? I wanted to know everything. "Don't cry, madam," said Martha when I found her. "Sit down and listen to me. Someone saw your husband with a knife that night," a woman told me in a trembling voice. The fire in the room gave her face a red glow. "But can we be sure he killed her?" she asked, her eyes fixed on me. I couldn't answer. The room was quiet except for the fire. The old clock ticked slowly. Her words stayed in the air like smoke. I felt the cold of the room and the damp smell of the walls. "When we found her," the woman continued, lowering her voice, "the knife was on the wooden floor near her. Moonlight fell through the window and made the blade shine." "Who saw him?" I asked, my voice small. Outside, the wind hit the old windows like a slow knock. "A neighbor," she said. "He saw a man leave late that night. He couldn't see well in the dark, but he said her husband had something in his hand. A knife, he thought." "Was there blood?" I asked. The room smelled of smoke and old wood, and my hands felt cold. "Yes," she said slowly, "there was blood on the floor, but the most terrible thing, the eyes. Who could do that? Who can be so cruel?" She looked at me with pity and lowered her voice more. "She was your husband's first wife. Her name was Lady Glenfallen. Her room was at the back of the house, always cold and quiet. People said strange noises came from there some nights." "And the blind woman? The woman in the black coat?" I asked, my throat tight. A small chair creaked when I moved. "She's dead," the woman answered. "What you saw was her ghost. Her soul cannot rest. People say she walks at night, searching for justice. She is jealous and angry. She looks for the next Lady Glenfallen to finish her revenge." My heart beat fast. I felt sick and the room turned a little pale. "I can't stay here," I whispered. "I cannot live where secrets and ghosts walk at night." "Don't wait," Martha said, her hand firm on my sleeve. Leave now. Go to your parents. Be safe. Her voice was both kind and urgent. That same day, I packed a few things. The fog outside the house touched my face like cold fingers. I said goodbye to Martha, hugged her, and told the driver to take me back to Tyrone. The carriage wheels creaked and moved through the wet road. I left without regret. I felt a small weight lift from my chest as we went further from the house. Now I live with my parents. The house is warm. The smell of tea and baking fills the kitchen. Every day I feel calmer. I sleep better at night. My family is kinder to me now, and the small sound of the house make me feel safe. Sometimes my dead sister comes to me in dreams. She no longer brings fear. In my dreams she is gentle, and I wake with quiet smile. Still, the question stays with me. Somebody saw my husband with a knife. But who can say for sure he killed her? No one knows the whole truth, and that question will stay in our minds.